Okay. So when you go for functional testing, nothing but whatever validation, mean that you can validate the script during the runtime process. You can validate the application during runtime process is a functionality. Validation which cannot be performed, just UI test case, user interface, performance, security, these comes under non-functional testing. So the functional testing is to validate the application during the runtime process. Application during runtime process is known as functionality. So this functionality we can also call as a dynamic testing. Dynamic testing. Okay, na? Next, when you come for non-functional testing, which we cannot perform any operations, just UI test cases, UI, performance, security, all these will come under non-functional, which we can also call as a static testing. We call it as a static testing. So they ask you, what is the difference between functional and non-functional? Or what is the difference between dynamic and static testing? So static will always be a non-functional and dynamic will always be a functional testing. Now,
but static testing is nothing but the verification,
Yes.
validation,
Verification process.
yes,
Without executing the code
we
is
are not
finished.
executing, right? We are going to check it out. What is the performance? Can anybody tell me what do you mean by performance testing? Are you doing any coding with that? Are you writing any script?
Actions.
No,
We
no.
No,
perform the
actions,
actions.
only verification.
Only
We are
verification.
Only verification
some
process.
It is
other
only
examples.
Performance,
verification.
we used to check the
Yeah,
stress testing, load testing,
Yes.
and
GUI testing.
Only
scalability
actions.
testing.
So we are going to check. We are going to check how many users are accessing, how long it will take to complete the task.
It's
So those
stable.
things we are going to identify transaction trends, right? So that comes under non-functional, right?
Okay.
If I want
Yes,
to, if I want to click on a link or if I want to click on a button, that is called functionality. If I want to check, for example, you consider as IRCTC website or Air India reservation, how many users are accessing, how long it will take to complete the login window, login, how many users are accessing on the login, how they are going to, whether they are going to get booking or not, how just whether they've been getting the overall transaction part of that, in which operating system they are going to use, how many browsers they are going to use, that will come under performance. Okay, na?
okay, Balakrishna.
Okay, so that's the difference. That's the difference between dynamic and static testing. Now, when you come to the Selenium, Selenium is a functional testing tool, or it is also called as a dynamic testing tool. It is a dynamic testing tool. Now, we see first part is what do you mean by Selenium and what are the components present in the Selenium. Now, first we'll go for this. Most of this used to work, there are different versions are there, like Windrunner, QTP, UFT, and RFT or something like. This is the main, using Selenium, you can test any number of web applications, I mean, not a single application. You can test any number of applications. Now, first, when you come to the Selenium, first one is, it is an open source tool. It is an open source tool which is used to test web applications. You may ask me, sir, most of the people working in the development like Java, right? So when you're working with, when you know what about a little bit Java, so we'll say that it is an open source tool. What do you mean by open source tool? It is a free downloading software. It is a free downloading.
Free download software.
Free downloading.
Yes. Some are their licensed version tools are there, but when you come to this open source tool, which comes under as is a free downloading software. Loading software. Next, it is a platform. It is a platform independent tool. Platform independent tool. Mean that it will support any operating system. It will support any operating system like Windows, Mac, Unix, Linux. Any operating system will be supported. So supported with the multiple operating system. Next, Selenium supports programming languages like Java,
Java, Python,
Java, Ruby,
Java, Python,
Ruby,
C Sharp.
Python, Perl, PHP, and C Sharp. Okay, it's a different programming language. Next, Selenium supports browsers like Internet Explorer, Safari, Opera, Chrome, and Firefox. These are all the browsers which Selenium supports. Next, using Selenium, we can test any number of pages in the sense applications, any number of applications in multiple browsers within any number of browsers. For example, you can say Gmail page. I can test my Gmail page in Internet Explorer, Safari, Opera, Chrome.
Yes.
Different operating system.
Yes.
Windows 7, Windows
Yeah.
8, Mac, Unix. Number of not browsers, it is operating systems. Any number of browsers in multiple operating systems. Next, components in Selenium are, the first one is IDE, RC, WebDriver, and the fourth one is grid.
Chrome driver.
The 4 components which comes under Selenium. Now, definition of Selenium. Now, what do you mean by Selenium? Anybody? What do you mean by Selenium?
Selenium is
Is a open source.
automated the application.
Okay.
To test the application.
It is a set of test suite automation tools which are used to test web applications. It is a set of test suite. Test suite is nothing but multiple components. Using multiple components, you can test any number of web applications. Is known as a Selenium. Okay, is known as a Selenium. Now, when you want to work with Selenium, there are 4 components. Either you can test it with a WebDriver, or you can test it with RC. You can test your application with the grid, or you can also work with the IDE. The first 2 components, first one is called as Selenium versions 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0. All are the same, but only the difference is the way which you are adding your jar files. You need to add your jar files and tools. Different tools are there. We are working with Eclipse. We are going to work on Eclipse itself. Now, this Selenium is classified into 4 categories. One is, the first one is called as IDE. We'll call it as Integrated Development Environment. Integrated Development Environment. We'll call it as a environment. The second one is called as RC. We'll call it as Remote Control. Remote Control. The third one is called as a WebDriver. We call it as a WebDriver. And the fourth one is called as a grid. 90% of the companies are going to work on WebDriver and grid. We are not working on IDE and RC. These are outdated versions which is supporting the older version of your operating systems. So we are going to work on WebDriver and grid only. These 2 are the older versions where we are not working on these components. Okay, so these are our older versions. Now, anyway, we'll see those things also later. Once you finish up the WebDriver grid, then we'll give the basic structure of IDE and RC. Correct? Now, what is the difference of all these tools? What is the difference of all these tools? We'll see down. The first one is called ID. We'll call it as Integrated Development Environment. Now, actually, when you come to the web ID, first one is, it is a record and playback tool. Record and playback tool mean that the user no need to perform any scripts. Just when you click on a record button, automatically the script will be generated. Actually, record and playback tool is nothing but automated script is called as recording. Automated script is called as a recording. So now the script will be generated. The script will be generated in the form of HTML, hypertext markup language. Whatever operations will be performed in a particular application, the script will be generated in the form of HTML. You may ask me, sir, can we convert this HTML into other programming language? Yes, you can export the HTML programming into Java, Ruby, Python, Perl, and PHP. So after 10 minutes is going to disconnect. Please rejoin again. Okay, everyone.
Yes.
All of you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, sure, okay.
So the script will be generated in the form of HTML. The script will be generated in the form of script. User no needs to generate the script for the performed operations. Next, actually, when you come to the grid, when you come to the IDE, the supported browser is Firefox. It doesn't support Chrome. It doesn't support Opera, Safari, or Firefox. Only it will support only Firefox. It doesn't support any other browsers. Using IDE, we can test any number of pages in a single browser within a single operating system with older version. So can I run my IDE in Windows 10 or can I run my application in Mac? No, you can't run it. So these are all supported only with the older version of our operating system. So any number of pages is nothing but Gmail, Yahoo, Reddit, Flipkart. In a single browser, Firefox. In a single operating system, Windows 2000 or Windows 98, those older versions will be supported. Okay, now? Next, the reports can be generated. In the form of .html. The reports can be generated in the form of a .html. So this is the overall of your ID. We are not using this ID. It's been outdated. It's recording, just we can do it out. But when you want to make some validations, we need to use some assertions inside that. That's all. We cannot change any entire script. Okay, no? So this is the ID we called as an ID, Integrated Development Environment. Later on, we get a tool called as RC, called as a remote control, Now, what is a remote control? Anybody? Actually, yeah, tell me. Anybody?
To work in JavaScript to automate the web application.
Yes. And actually, it is a server-based tool. We call it as a server-based scripting language. Actually, Java scripting programming language where we are going to use in this part actually. So this is a server-based tool which is used to test web applications. Use it to test your web applications. Once you connect this server, then it can be interacted with the browser and the page. Now here, what is a server? What component we are going to add to get the server is, there is a jar file called selenium hyphen server hyphen standalone hyphen 2.53 jar file, where we are going to connect this to the command prompt, which act as a server. Once you connect the server, then you can interact with the browser and the page. Okay, na?
Okay.
Okay. Actually, this jar file which we are going to use in WebDriver for getting the commands. Okay. Next, using supported. Next, supporting programming languages are, it also supports Java, Ruby, Python, Perl, PHP, and C#. So these are all the programming languages does RC supports. Next, supported browsers are Internet Explorer, Safari, Opera, Chrome, and Firefox. These are all the supported browsers. Using RC, we can test any number of pages, comma, browsers in a single operating system with older version. You may ask me, sir, then what is the difference between the ID and RC? It supports only one browser, one operating system. Here, multiple browsers, one operating system. That is also older version, and this is also the older version. It is not a server based, it is a record and playback tool, and this is a server based tool. This is a server based tool. Now, most important is the reports can be generated. The reports can be generated in the form of .xml file, extended markup language. Now, in this RC, cross browser, parallel testing is possible. Parallel testing is possible. Most of the people, anybody, I think most people knows that difference between cross browser and parallel testing. Do you have an idea? Anybody?
Parallel testing
Parallel
means
testing
both
is
developers and
No.
testers will in agile methodology.
No.
No,
we
Balaji.
can test 2 or 3 applications at a time, I think.
Okay. So now when you come to the cross browser, testing is single application can be tested in multiple browsers at a time. Multiple browsers at a time simultaneously. Okay, na? Example, if I take as a Gmail page, I can test my Gmail page under Firefox. I can run my application. Chrome, Safari, and Opera. So same single application can be tested in multiple browsers is a cross-browser testing. Now, parallel testing in this sense, multiple applications can be tested in multiple browsers parallelly. Example, Gmail using Internet Explorer. Next, Firefox, Facebook using Safari. Next, Rediff page using Chrome. Next, Amazon page using Firefox. So different application can be tested in different browsers. This is called parallel testing. Single application can be tested in multiple browsers is a cross-browser test. Got it? Any doubts?
No,
No, it's
sir.
clear.
Anybody?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Next.
Oh,
So this is a parallel testing. Next, we'll go for the framework design. Framework design is possible by using test ng or JUnit. Test ng or JUnit. Test ng, test next generation. JUnit, Java Unit. The older version for designing the framework is JUnit. The latest version is test ng. There are different types of framework where we can design and enhance your scripts and generating the reports which are in the form of XML. For example, in my Excel sheet, in my Excel external file, Excel sheet, I store my 1,000 usernames and passwords. I want to extract each and every username and password from the Excel sheet. And using the tool Eclipse, I want to test my Yahoo page. I want to test my Yahoo page. So that is a framework. We are going to create your configuration files. We are going to add your drivers. We are going to add your servers. We are going to create a folders